With me now from Washington is roll call columnist Jon Allen. All right, so Jon, the president-elect, meets with Rudy Giuliani on Sunday, but on Saturday he met with Mitt Romney, who's also under consideration for Secretary of State. Given the animosity between Romney and Trump during the campaign, how viable an option do you think Romney is for the job?
In some ways, that animosity is actually helpful in Trump telegraphing that he's willing to put the best people around him, even if they sometimes disagree with him. That's not something we've necessarily seen from Donald Trump a whole lot before, but a move to tap Romney, who he's said pretty terrible things about and who has said pretty nasty things about Trump, would signal that. I think Mitt Romney would be well regarded around the world. Certainly somebody that I think most people in the establishment that Donald Trump hates so much would find a little bit reassuring. And at the same time, I'm not sure that we should read too much into them meeting.
What might be in it for Mitt Romney?
I think being Secretary of State of the United States is a pretty good job, especially for someone who is public service minded. Mitt Romney was a businessman for much of his career, but he was governor of Massachusetts. He ran for president twice. This is somebody who believes he has something to give back to his country and I think to the world. And so I think being Secretary of State would be not just an honor for him, but something where he'd really enjoy doing the work of going around to foreign capitals and promoting the United States.
All right, continue to watch that. Donald Trump also met with retired Marine General James Mattis on Saturday, with Mr. Trump tweeting that Mattis was, quote, very impressive. The general, Jon, was known as Mad Dog during his time in the Marines. Does this tell us anything about the type of commander-in-chief Donald Trump is looking to be?
If you're a Marine, you want that nickname Mad Dog. That's pretty good.
Right, it's like high praise, yeah.
Mattis knows the U.S. military as well as anybody. He's been head of U.S. Central Command before, somebody who I think is well regarded by his peers and is generally well regarded within the Obama administration. There's a continuity to picking Mattis to be at the Defense Department. He is known as somebody who is willing to relieve people of command. That's the military version of "you're fired," the Donald Trump phrase. So right. I think there may be some similarity in their bearing there. The one concern that might be raised is having somebody who comes out of the military in the civilian leadership of the military. There's always been a premium on having some distance between what the Pentagon does and its officer corps and that civilian leadership. So basically, so that the Defense Secretary doesn't end up being more of an advocate for his agency and less of an advocate for the president's mission. I don't think in Donald Trump's case that should be too much of a problem.
All right, Jon, in other news here, the president-elect continued to express his disapproval for the cast of the musical Hamilton after they delivered a message on inclusiveness to Vice President-elect Mike Pence on Friday night. What are the optics here, Jon? What does the president-elect achieve by repeatedly tweeting that the cast should apologize?
Well, the theory on the left is that he achieves distracting the news media from other stories going on right now, including his settlement for $25 million of a series of fraud suits involving Trump University. I'm not sure what to believe in terms of what his motivation is. He obviously doesn't put a footnote in each of those tweets or subtweet himself with the motivation.
Oh, if he did, Jon. Interesting footnotes those would be.
But, look, if he's going to get in a fight with the cast of a Broadway show, that's very much in line with the way that he conducted himself on the campaign trail. He also blasted Saturday Night Live in a tweet this week saying he saw part of, today saying that he saw part of their performance last night and was not particularly impressed with it. He likes to opine. He's going to continue to opine. I don't think it's really that big of a deal. And I understand why some people are upset that the cast of Hamilton decided to single out Mike Pence and in a pretty aggressive way go after him. The guy just won the vice presidency. If they want to send him a letter, there are any number of venues that they could do that in to invite him into their home and then trash him seemed in poor taste to me.
Yeah, so it's interesting. John Dickerson asked Vice President-elect Pence about this on Face the Nation. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
I heard the remarks that were made at the end, and what I can tell you is I wasn't offended by what was said. I'll leave to others whether it was the appropriate venue to say it. But I want to assure people who were disappointed in the election results people are feeling anxious about this time in the life of our nation, that President-elect Donald Trump meant exactly what he said on election night, that he is going to be the president of all the people of the United States of America. And to see this man who's bringing this energy and this leadership to the process of assembling this team and laying out an agenda to revive our country and strengthen America at home and abroad, is to see someone who is not only a great mind, but a great heart. He's got a heart for the American people. And I just want to reassure anyone, including the actor who spoke that night, that President-elect Donald Trump is going to be president of all the people, and I couldn't be more honored to stand with him.
So, John, what do you make of the contrast here between what we heard from the vice president-elect and the president-elect on Twitter?
Well, look, Mike Pence is much better at sort of traditional political messaging. I believe if you watch Mike Pence over his career, and I think there are people who would disagree, point to things he's done over his career that he has, singled out certain people. But my view of Mike Pence is that he actually has been somebody who has really avoided the politics of division for most of his career. And so it doesn't surprise me that he has a different message than Donald Trump does, or that he articulates it in a different way. But Mike Pence is not going to be in charge of this White House.
Yes, I think it'll be interesting to see, though, what kind of influence and how that interaction continues throughout the course of the Trump presidency. All right, last question for you, John. One of Donald Trump's closest and most controversial advisors, Steve Bannon, has done some print interviews in recent days after largely staying out of the spotlight. He told the Wall Street Journal he keeps a low profile because, quote, politics is war. Do we have any sense right now, John, how Steve Bannon is going to be shaping the Trump White House as chief strategist?
I mean, I think you can look at the campaign and see that Steve Bannon's want is for Donald Trump to be as aggressive as he possibly can, to be as controversial as he possibly can, to go after opponents without any mercy. I mean, this is Steve Bannon's basic way of doing things, is to divide and destroy. And so I suspect that's how the White House will run. Obviously, give him a little time to get in there and see if that's in fact what he does, or if there's some pivot now that there's a governing mandate. What I think is clear is that Steve Bannon's a pretty intelligent strategist, and he saw in Donald Trump, how to win the presidency, and was able to help guide that. So people who underestimate Steve Bannon do so at their peril.
All right, Jon Allen in Washington for us. John, thank you.
Take care, Elaine.